Morning, this is Thomas DeMoss with Reality Real Estate, where we hope to educate and inform our listeners about the local Chattanooga real estate market. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things today. We're going to talk about real estate investing. We're going to talk about, my part in as an agent with Keller Williams. Hopefully that'll come up in the second half. And today I've got a guest with me who is, a fellow real estate investor. Steve Johnson, and he's going to throw some questions at me, and we'll see we'll do the best we can to answer them and inform you guys today, and hopefully entertain. That's always, with radio, it's got to be entertaining. You guys are not going to listen. So let me throw this out there. If there are things that you would like us to talk about or to have questions about, feel free to text me at 423-364-0028. And once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss, and this is Reality Real Estate. So let me throw it over to Steve and see what he can do to stump me.
Okay, Thomas, thanks for letting me join you today. I'm excited about being here. I've watched your progress of recent, and you've done well. You've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and I'm hoping that some of that will rub off on me. Again, thanks for letting me be with you today, Thomas.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. Let me just throw some things out there as we talk about the real estate market, the situation that we're in here in Chattanooga, just some statistics for you guys. So bear with me. This is the February 2017 home sales report. These are great numbers for folks who are looking to sell a home. It's difficult for folks who are looking to buy. We've got an increase of closed sales up 8.6%. What we're looking at, if you're selling a house, the days on market now is at 74 days. That's the average time days on. That is remarkable.
Wow.
That is down 3.9%. This is an incredible number here. Everybody talks about how affordable Chattanooga's market is. Well, right now, our median, which is if you look at every sold house and you put your finger right in the middle, that middle price is $163,000. That's up around $10,000 over this time last year. This is where we have some trouble, and this is where we're running into with buyers. Our inventory is down 23%.
Wow.
We have, as of February, around 2,900 homes that were for sale. So just this morning, we were talking offline, Steve, about, you asked me if I was busy, and I commented, absolutely. We listed a house out in Hickson that was priced below appraisal, and my phone has just been blowing up. It's a great house with a pool, and we've already got one offer on the table. And I've talked to both of the agents because I've been in their shoes working with buyers. It's frustrating because the good houses, they go quickly.
Wow.
That's what kind of environment we're in.
So you're telling me it's a great time to be investing and a wonderful time to be selling.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's a good time. Obviously, we have experienced some really good success lately in our real estate investments, and those range from different things, from rental properties that we have, from rehabs that we are doing. So yeah, it's been a good time. Good time.
So we were actually coming out of the winter, which typically it's a slow time, a little faster because the weather's been mild, and I think people are just ready to get it done.
They are ready. And I talk to folks, I say, look, when we actually have a winter, we'll have to deal with that because I know it's a little cold out there now, but we've not had much of a winter, and it has really, I think, charged the market. Everybody, especially with this warm spell that we had, last week and early part of this week, everybody's out. I mean, they've got spring fever. I'm still getting adjusted to daylight savings time. So
wow.
It's ready to go.
Well, so let me ask you, hopefully we can talk about the investing side first. I just want to pick your brain. I want to learn what I can because I forget so much each day. I need new knowledge, new information. But I've often wondered, I've looked at your website, looked at the homes that you've done. How do you decide how far to go, Tom, with the renovations? I mean, you got a house, you buy it at a fair price. You've got the owner out of the picture. How do you decide how far to go?
That's a great question. So let's see if we can break this down. And what we're talking about now is when we're buying a house that we have specifically, we are going to renovate that house and resell it. Once again, I do not like the term fix and flip. I think that has a negative connotation from the pre-crash environment that we're in, where people were just putting lipstick on a pig and moving it out there. So we really try to put a good product out there. I mean, obviously, as I've shared before, I'm a people pleaser. I want to make everybody happy. And when you're coming to a home, we want to make sure that we're putting folks in a good home that's gonna last a long time. So back to your question, how do we look at it? Well, there's just as basic as we can get. There's three variables that you deal with when you're looking at renovating a house. The first one is, what do you pay for it? The second one is, how much is it going to cost you to rehab it? And the third one is, what is it going to sell for? Now, what are you going to pay for it? That's a pretty fixed number. What are you going to sell it for? The market's going to tell you that, and you can run comps. And obviously, as a real estate agent, we're doing that. That variable that is always in question is, how much are you going to spend in your rehab budget? And what we've done, and like we talked about, it's a lot of trial and error. You've got to kind of feel it out. But I would say one of the things that you need to do if you're interested in rehabbing houses, and this all goes back to education, is you need to figure out what your competition is doing. I mean, it's the same thing that McDonald's and Burger King do every day. They always try to, steal ideas. They're always copying each other. They're probably sending people into the stores to figure out what they're doing that they can do better. And that's what we've done. We go tour houses in the price range that we are working on. We see the finishes that they're putting in there. We talk to our various vendors, tradespeople, whether that's sheetrock guys, HVAC guys, painters. So we know our cost on those trades and what it's going to cost us per square foot going in there. So we have a rough rehab budget when we buy the house. So obviously we want to try to buy the house as good as we can get it. But really, you want to make your house look as good or better than what is on the market now.
So you got to get ahead of the competition, stay ahead of the competition in that regard.
Absolutely. And it's very important to know what and I don't, I use the term competition very loosely. There's a lot of collaboration here in the real estate market, and everybody's kind of sharing ideas, which is a good thing. But yeah, it's essentially, you just want to make sure that you are not overdoing a house. So just for instance, if we're working on a house, which we did, we worked on a house in Brainerd. We knew going in there, hey, we're not putting granite countertops in this house. It's, that's an overkill for that type of a market. But what we did do is we did the nice cabinets. We did the nice laminate countertops. We were able to redo the floors. So when you compared it to what was on the market, our property was a better value. So we felt like we're going to give the end buyer a better value of the house that they're going to come into. They're going to, it's going to be a good home, fix everything that needs to be fixed. And that's where we try to outdo our competition, so to speak.
Well, so today's buyer, very educated, very smart. The internet's made most people wiser.
Yes.
Having said that, would you think that most buyers today are more concerned with the cosmetic look, the appeal, or the functionality, or a combination of both, in your opinion?
There is a combination of both, and this kind of bleeds into what I do as a working with buyers as an agent side. Obviously, with my experience in renovating houses, it is. I got a good idea when I walk through a house if it's got good bones or not. I can work with good bones. If there's foundation issues, there's structural issues, that's a little bit more challenging. So I tell folks, hey, anybody can paint. Paint's easy. You can change the look of a house very, very easily with just adding a different color paint. So So I try to tell people, look, when you're walking in, don't be discouraged. And just from a rehab standpoint, you can do a lot with paint, and you can do a lot with just changing some of the exterior look. I would say one of the things to look at is windows. And I don't know what it is, but my window vendor, they love me, but I always change out the windows. I think that is, when you pull up to a house, that's your curb appeal. Nobody wants to see the old clunky metal windows. If you have them, that's okay. But here's something that you may not know. EPB is giving rebates for folks to change their windows out to energy efficient with what they call the low E, or the argon gas. So they're giving you money to upgrade the house and make it more energy efficient. So that's one of the things that we definitely try to do. I think that adds a huge amount of value to the house, because what folks are looking at, and what obviously when we talk about our competition and educating that end buyer, is what is that house going to cost you on a monthly basis? Everybody looks at their mortgage payment, but nobody looks at what their utilities are going to cost them.
Sure.
So that's the selling point there, is you can talk to, once you get that house rehabbed, you can educate those buyers and say, look, hey, your utility bills are going to be 20% lower than what this other house is on the market. So therefore, we can add value, increase our price a little bit. So I think that is one thing that is important to do. I love changing out the windows. It makes a huge impact on the house.
Well, interesting you say that, Thomas. I just purchased a house in Chattanooga, inside the city limits. It's a nice house, as you say, good bones, good structure. The previous owners did new siding, but they didn't replace the roof, which is ugly and got some leaks, and they didn't do anything to the windows. They got to do a roof. Now you got me thinking on the windows, do I really need to do the windows? Because certain money you put in, you're going to get it back.
Absolutely.
Sometimes if you don't spend the money, you're going to lose it. So let's go back to your statement. The rebate, is that an advantage to the investor as well as the end user, the buyer of the home?
Well, so I'm going to have to separate that out, because once again, for the homes that I'm looking at to rent, I absolutely want to change those windows out, because once again, I'm looking at my competition. This is all making a determination of what's on the market. So when I have that tenant come in and my rent may be $50, maybe $100 more than the house down the street, I can tell them, look, what you need to look at is the total cost per month. And therefore, yes, I have invested into that house to make it, to add value to that house, but also decrease those bills. So there is an offset there. And the same thing with adding value, changing the windows or changing a roof. That's a selling point to an end buyer when you're doing a rehab on a house. Look, the roofer that I use, we always put the 30-year architectural shingle. The other is the 3-tab dimensional. The most manufacturers warranty on that, and I hopefully not getting too deep in the weeds here, but that's a 15-year, and those, the cost difference is minimal. So I think that's a big selling point. Plus, they just look better. The architectural shingle looks so much better. So you change that out. You educate your buyer or your tenant. Hey, look, not only are you not going to have to spend that money to change this out for another 30 years. If it's a tenant, it's going to help with energy efficiency as well. Most of the older roofs weren't put on as they should be. And so, yeah, absolutely.
And the curb appeal of the architectural roof is just amazingly different. It's just a different category than a typical standard roof.
Yeah, it does. And if you looked at the pricing, hopefully, I've got partnerships with my roofing vendors. I never do anything differently. It's always the architectural, just for peace of mind. But trying not to get too far off base, you ask, how do we make that determination? And I'll tell you, There's a general rule of thumb for rehabbing the houses that the minimum you want to make is 20% on your money invested. Now, I did
total in.
Now, I didn't come up with that rule, but that's kind of where everybody's using that as a barometer. So, I guess just simple math. If you've got 100,000 in, you want to sell it for 120, make 120. No, that's really loose numbers, but there's some other costs there. But essentially, that's kind of where you want to come out at. So, with that, what we do use that as a gauge, kind of our minimum return standard, if you will. And what we're looking at there is what can we do? Obviously, our acquisition cost is already fixed. We've negotiated that. We bought the house. We can't go back to the seller and renegotiate it after you bought it. So then you've got to look at what are you going to spend on your rehab. There's a couple different things. I think there's some more important items to address. You always hear kitchens and bathrooms, and I think that's true. I mean, kitchens and bathrooms sell a house. If you think about it, those are the rooms you're going to spend the most time in. Your kitchens, yeah, absolutely. Your kitchens and your bathroom. So it definitely makes sense to make those as nice as you can have them based upon your rehab budget.
So this house I was speaking of, and I hate to use personal pronoun too much, but I'm concerned about me as well as all the listeners. But this house it's got good bones, great yard, good location, a good family home, big fenced-in backyard. How would you feel about adding it where there's a small stoop on the back? How would you feel about replacing that with a deck? Is that money worth spending or not?
Outdoor spaces are a gamble. You're not going to always get your money back out of them. If you've got a lot of indoor space that can accommodate, entertaining, I would say you just want to dress up the outside space. But you want to spend your money on the interior space because from an appraisal standpoint, you may put a deck on there, but it's not going to give you the value that you need as it would absolutely as it would if you were working on the interior of the house. And that's one of the things you kind of struggle with as we look at houses. We're thinking, boy, that big old deck would sure be nice. But you got to think, that's something you create kind of a blank canvas, if you will. You give the homeowner a good value, fix all the things that need to be repaired, give them a great kitchen and a bathroom, and then help them envision what they could do to the house. Because most people, they want to add their custom stamp to the house.
So you let them personalize it on their own. Because you're providing a home, a house, a good value. Let them do their part.
Absolutely. Now, I will contradict myself this time because you asked about an outdoor space and a deck. And what we've wrestled with, we've got a house that we're going to rehab in North Chattanooga. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. It's a rancher style. So what we're going to do is kind of change it over to that bungalow architecture that is consistent with the neighborhood there. And obviously we're limited on square footage. So we know that folks who are looking in that area, they're outdoors. They want to be outdoors. They want to entertain. The house, they're so close to downtown that the general atmosphere is they're not going to be inside the house as much. So we are going to put a nice porch, patio on that house, a deck, because we feel like, and I think it'll be true, that's going to add to the appeal of that house, especially at what we're trying to do. And it won't cost us as much money as adding the 3rd bedroom. So we can give the bedrooms on the inside and give folks an outdoor entertaining space that they can use. Well, in Chattanooga, you can almost use it year round now, but typically about 3/4 of the year.
That's interesting. So, let me change gears just a moment. Talked about kitchens, bathrooms. Obviously, that's supposedly no brainer. What about floor surface? What's happening there? How do you determine how much money you're going to spend on the floor?
So with floors are always a tricky thing. What I would recommend is if you on floors, we've gone from a no carpet environment. Actually, people are trying to go back to a little bit of carpet. I'm a hard surface floor guy. I think that's going to give you the most value. A lot of the houses that were built in Chattanooga and that we have renovated, it's kind of, you tear the carpet. There's mid 50s, early 60s, up until the late, early 70s. They've all got that hidden gem of the wood floor underneath. The good stuff. I'm telling you, it is like finding gold. So I can't tell you the times we've ripped back the carpet and just said a quick, thank you, Lord, prayer. These floors look great. And it's interesting, just kind of a side note. I've got a floor guy. I've used him ever since I've been in this business, and I'll never change him because he's great. He always sets my expectations so low. He always comes in and he says, Thomas, we can't fix these floors. And he makes them look spectacular. So great guy. But yeah, the floors are important. Now I would say you don't want to go too much on it. Once again, going back to your market, definitely if you can refinish the original wood floors, that's the way to go. There are some good economical, what they call engineered floors out there these days. They've got incredible warranties on them, and their price point is really competitive. So I would encourage you to look at that. You don't have to spend a lot of money on floors to make them look spectacular.
That's interesting. I got a property. Wife and I inherited this property in Augusta, Georgia, our home, and it had carpet. And it's a senior living gated community, and we toyed with selling that house for a long time. And the guy across the street says, "You'll pull that carpet up and wood, you'll sell it." I kid you not. Guy come by and made an offer while we were putting the floor down. That's coincidence, but it really did make a big difference. And frankly, replacing the outdated carpet, usually carpet doesn't wear out, but it gets dirty and dated. It didn't cost a whole lot more to do the wood floor than we would have paid for the carpet.
It's not, and that's what people see. If we're putting carpet in a house, we're generally going to put it in the master bedroom. And I think that's more of a preference thing. It can go either way. But I see most people, if you don't have carpet in the master bedroom, they're going to throw a rug down regardless, because everybody wants to wake up and have something warm, absolutely warm on their feet. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. So I know.
Well, with that in mind, help me, going back to, do you do much ornamentalization?
What's that now?
Like light fixtures and stuff like that. Do you?
Yeah, we do. And I think we're coming up on a break here, if I'm not mistaken. So we will touch base on that. But yeah, we'll talk about some more renovation when we come back. This is Reality Real Estate with Thomas DeMoss. And if you've got questions, you can contact us at 423-364-0028. That is my cell phone number. Feel free to text any questions that you may have, just curiosity, and we will hope to have you guys back for the second half.
Great.
Wow, I feel good.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is the choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson, featuring our NASCAR Natty Light for only $2.25 all day during the Sprint Cup race. That's right, all day during the race. Enjoy a cool, crisp, refreshing brew. Natty Light, just $2.25. Also choose from a wide variety of other beverages on tap or in the bottle. Amigos, between Hobby Lobby and Staples in Hickson. Amigos Mexican Restaurant, a real homemade taste of Mexico. And Natty Light for only $2.25 during the Sprint Cup race. A festive atmosphere, great service and prices, a fantastic taste. Always fresh, never frozen. Stay cool, quench your thirst at happy hour. 9 to 3 today and every day, featuring huge drink specials at Amigos. Take the table next to mine. We'll enjoy the Sprint Cup race on huge flat screen TVs with friends and family. See you here at the Cantina. Amigos.
Is your career taking you where you want to go? If not, talk to Covenant Group Insurance, especially if you like helping people. Call and learn how you can work for yourself, but not by yourself. Intense but free training, plus a fantastic lead program, plus office support equals your success, your prosperity. Gross at least $75,000 your first year selling insurance. Call Steve or Jada for a confidential interview. That's 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you make all year.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. A bank robbery on East 3rd Street has left the community shaken. A close-up view of the alleged bank robber's face is available thanks to the many bank cameras inside. The FBI is handling the investigation. Jimmy Songer was sentenced to 15 years in prison for his role in a methamphetamine ring. He admitted to police that he sold 1/4 ounce of meth every day for 5 months. Also arrested was Chris Huddleston, who was sentenced to 48 months in prison. He was stopped on his way to pick up 1 kilogram of meth. He had $20,000 on him to make that purchase. The Lookout Mountain community has a parking problem. Sunset Rock is a very popular hiking spot, but people who park there are blocking the road, and they say the police or an ambulance can't get through. In order to free up space, the community is hiring a parking officer to direct people where to park and to possibly issue out tickets and monitor the parking meters. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News, AM 1240, NoogaRadio.com. Make sure you like us on Facebook and get us on the TuneIn radio app on your smartphone.
Slowly warming up out there through your afternoon with lots of sunshine. Highs 50 to 53. Tonight, fair. Not as cold, lows into the lower 30s. More clouds, milder Friday. Highs of around 60. Can't rule out a late shower with showers more likely Friday night, ending early Saturday morning. Spring is almost here, and Glass Farm Nursery is now open. Your tree and shrub replacement headquarters. Glass Farm will bring life back to your lawn and garden. Open daily, closed Sunday. Glass Farm Nursery, Highway 11, 4 miles south of Trenton. And I'm Sorgene 12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Wow, I feel good.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Thomas DeMoss with Reality Real Estate. Well, we are trying to educate and inform you guys about the Chattanooga real estate market. We're talking about all topics. We're talking about real estate investing. We're talking about if you're looking to buy and sell a house. So we're just kind of all over the map. So hopefully there is something here. There is a nugget that you guys can pick up and get value from. That's what we want to do. Once again, my cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Feel free to text with any questions that you may have. And I've got here my guest, Steve Johnson, who is a fellow real estate investor, and he's been picking my brain a little bit. So hopefully we've been able to help educate him to some degree. But just a couple of things that we talked about. We talked about the overall market environment here in Chattanooga, which is still incredibly hot. We've got, as usual, it sounds cliche, but we have got a low supply of houses to sell, and we've got more folks that are looking to buy. So that's always a great situation for a seller. It's not so great if you're a buyer. But one of the articles that I read today was there's two big retail stores that are going to open up over by the mall. We've got REI, which is an outdoor retailer. They've got a store down in Atlanta that's a pretty big deal, and then they're going to open up a new Publix. I cannot imagine what the mall area and Shallowford and Gun Barrel Road is going to look like once they do that. I just they keep putting more stuff out there. It's always surprising.
But Thomas, let me interrupt you just a second, and I got to ask this question. I've heard your comments off the air many times, but reality real estate is a big deal. But I get caught up in watching these real estate shows, these Flip It and Fix It and all the crazy shows, and there's, it's almost like championship wrestling. It's hard to believe that they think people believe that. But they're so popular, I guess. Give me your.
Yeah, I mean, they are popular. They're entertainment. Is there some reality? Yeah, probably. But I mean, we've had this reality TV genre now for, oh gosh, I think it started when I was in college, which was longer than I care to remember. Probably 15, 20 years now, and I think it started out with there was supposed to be some reality in there, and then these folks said, look, we can make a lot more money if we call it reality, but we just make it more entertaining. So I think that obviously bleeds in over into the home shows, and they're everywhere. I mean, HGTV was the pioneer, but you've got them on Amazon, Netflix, and it's interesting. Can you learn something from them? Possibly. I mean, what I have an issue with, and this is funny, we TV for fun. I watched, consecutive episodes of the show Flip or Flop, and I'm thinking on my fourth one, I'm thinking, well, they're walking in and making the same mistakes on every house. How can this show last if they keep under budgeting on all these costs? They're eventually going to run out of money somewhere. So I do think a lot of that is for dramatic effect. I don't think they're as bad as what they make themselves out to be, because they wouldn't be in business very long.
Sure. And it's always amusing to see the potential home buyer in there with their goggles on and the sledgehammer and their high heel shoes. Like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen in Chattanooga. Yeah,
I'm not so sure that the Property Brothers are actually demoing property. I see that too. I tell you what, my favorite show is Fixer Upper. I would say if you had to gauge them as far as which one is more real, I would say there's more reality in that show than most. But real estate is an interesting environment to operate in. There's no day that is the same. Every day you wake up and there's going to be some excitement somewhere. And I can tell you, we've had our share of reality television moments. And I love to tell this story. I'll share it with you as a fellow real estate investor. There is a gentleman that I made friends with. He was kind of where I want to be when I'm his age, and he had some rental property, and we started a relationship. And anyway, he trusted me enough to buy some of the houses, and I'd bought a couple of them, and we came up on one of the houses that he wanted to sell, and he had done well, so he had not not really put a lot of focus on the houses. And we walked into one, and it was bad. And I hate to make light at living conditions, and I don't want to make light of that. These folks were living in some bad conditions that they had created on their own accord. But I had to put trash bags on my pants in order to walk through the house. And we didn't stay in there very long. Like I said, we had a good relationship, and we walked in, and the smell was just so strong. We almost couldn't stand it. And we were in the house about a minute. And when we walked back out of that house, my buddy looked at me and he said, Thomas, I had a price in my head, but the minute we opened the door, it dropped $5,000. And I looked at him and I said, well, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Certainly. So tell me, and I know this is a question that you probably can't answer. I don't know if there is an answer, but why is the market so hot right now? What's the driving force to that?
Well, So let's look at it from kind of the big picture and come down to locally in Chattanooga. We are in an environment, and I hope you guys understand where we're at. We are in historically low interest rates. And what does that mean? That means it's less expensive to borrow money than it was 15 or 20 years ago. So I always ask, well, what does that mean for me? First of all, buy more house. It's not going to cost you as much on a monthly payment. So that's where we're at right now. Interest rates are hovering around 4.5%. They've ticked up a little bit. We've had the Fed moving with the interest rate a little bit, but we're still in some historically lows, which, like I said, it just means it is cheaper to borrow money now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And in the housing environment, most people don't have the full purchase price. They're not walking around with $50, $100, $300,000. So most of the time people are going to a bank and they're really just breaking it down to what is this house going to cost me on a monthly basis. So that's kind of the big picture environment. And then if you want to look at Chattanooga specifically, I mean, we've got a lot of great things. You could call them positive economic factors, but it's really simple. We've had Volkswagen that came into the area that has hired a lot of people. And I read another article yesterday where they're looking at putting another line in for their SUV going to be employed. That means people are going to have constant income. That means it's going to draw people from outside of the Chattanooga area who are looking for jobs. And whenever somebody moves to an area, they got to have somewhere to live. And right now, what has happened is the building has not increased from the pre-recession levels. So what happened back in 07, 08, banks got really tight with their money. They restricted a lot of building. So that meant that these builders couldn't build new houses. And there's a life cycle to housing. If you're not building more, what's already there is getting deteriorated and nobody wants to live in it. So you've got to constantly build new houses. And that's what stopped. So once again, we're back to that level of supply that is very low right now. And we've got a lot of people that are moving to Chattanooga. I'd say the catalyst for that would probably be Volkswagen. Prior to that, we had the downtown resurgence with the aquarium. So we moved back to Chattanooga, a little over 10 years ago. And my wife always commented to me is you never wanted to be downtown when she was in high school. And, I can't see that. Downtown is a beautiful area. We've got so many different outdoor events that are coming to the area. So we are, as much as, a lot of the longtime Chattanooga people may not like it. And, it's something that I'm trying to get comfortable with. We are changing as a city. The great thing about Chattanooga is it's still a small town. But anyway, back to your question. Yeah, it's a great environment here in Chattanooga. There are a lot of good things that are drawing people to Chattanooga. And for the most part, I'd say a good percentage of my buyer clients that I've worked with at Keller Williams have moved from not only out of the city, but from out of state. I've had some clients moving from Austin, which Austin experienced a pretty extreme real estate boom of their own, and the affordability there just got to where most people were thinking, well, we don't have to live here. We can go somewhere else.
Yeah, I came to Chattanooga in 1985 thinking I'd be here 1 year, promoted with the company I worked with, and had many opportunities to move away, but we found that Chattanooga is a great place to live. You're 2 hours to Nashville, 2 hours to Knoxville, 2 hours to Atlanta, 2 hours, a little more to Birmingham. If we could just get an ocean a little closer, it'd be nice, but the ocean's not as important as it used to be to me. But Chattanooga, by and large, is a service community. Now, not necessarily an industrial area, but with Volkswagen and the suppliers for Volkswagen, it's just been a good market. Even when the economy was bad, the housing economy, I think Chattanooga still did well compared to many areas.
It did. And if you look statistically, even during the 07, 08 recession that we had, Chattanooga's real estate values, they did not decrease to the extreme levels that some of the other places did. I mean, you look at Florida, you look at Arizona, Las Vegas in particular. I mean, those places were really, really hard hit. But what you mentioned, kind of the economic environment that's in Chattanooga. Yeah, we do have a lot of service related industries. We do have, Chattanooga base was a manufacturing base. I mean, historically, that's what it's been. We built stuff here. And now that's coming back, obviously, with Volkswagen. But I mentioned to you the folks that were that I had placed in houses that had moved from Austin, that had moved from Colorado. Well, they had jobs that were in the technology field. So they were looking around the country and saying, hey, we don't have to live in Austin or in Boulder or wherever where real estate is extremely expensive. We can move to Chattanooga area and enjoy all those outdoor amenities and have a substantially lower housing costs. So that's what's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Question in the back of my mind, is there such thing as a niche market for DeMoss? What I mean is, are first-time home buyers move up, or the seniors that are downsizing? Is there a particular market that you focus on?
That's an interesting question, and it's kind of hard to answer, but let me give a little bit of my background, and maybe it'll kind of tell you what my trajectory has been as my real estate experience has evolved. So I started over 10 years ago acquiring rental properties. Our main focus was so that when we had children, my wife was able to stay home and work. And God was good to us. He blessed us with that. We've been able to acquire some properties, and I think we made good homes for people. And then that kind of evolved into the market getting a little tighter and not being able to find the opportunities for houses that we need. So developed the ibuychattanoogahouses.com website. That was set up because I talked to a lot of people who needed to sell their house. For whatever reason, there was some level of distress where they were behind on their payments or taxes, or just couldn't afford repairs. So I didn't have an avenue to help people there, so we went ahead and set that up. And obviously, that has been beneficial not only to us but to our clients, where they can contact us through there, and we'll come out, take a look at their house, make them a cash offer. No repairs needed. It's pretty quick and painless. So we've tried to set that up as an avenue to help people. And what evolved from that is I had other folks that would go onto the ibuychattanoogahouses.com website, and they would contact me, and I would meet with them. And once again, I'm trying to help people. Obviously, we're in business. We're going to make a profit. I've got to feed my family, but we try to be fair. We definitely want to be honest with everybody. And after those conversations, I had some folks that would call me out. And I moved them into the category of, well, they want to sell their house. They don't really need to sell. They're not behind on payments. They just, for whatever reason, a job change, they got married. They just wanted out. They didn't really have the time to allocate to it. So put on my Keller Williams realtor hat and say, look, you're not a good fit for me to buy your house, but I can help you sell your house. I remember my first client as an agent with Keller Williams was an accountant downtown, and he contacted me through the I Buy Chattanooga Houses website. Super busy guy, and just didn't have time to deal with it. And we had a network of resources. I had contractors and tradespeople lined up. So really the only thing that he did, he signed some paperwork online, and we took care of selling his house from start to finish. And I remember he remarked after it was done that was the easiest transaction that he had ever done. And that made me feel real good, because that's exactly what I want to do. I mean, you hear the term value proposition, and that's exactly what we have is we try to make everything as painless as possible. And that did lead into, obviously, my growth as an agent. We've had friends and family that we've helped, and it's really neat to have the ability to help your friends and family, whether it's listing or buying a house. I placed several of my friends in their first homes. So it's really interesting. Just recently, actually, this is very new. This morning, I got a referral from my attorney here in Hickson, and the client's mom had passed, and the house, it was in good shape. It was one of those good bones houses, but she lived in Nashville, and really didn't have the resources at the time to allocate to it. And I kept telling her, I said, look, you don't have to worry about this. We'll take care of it. So all you need to do is, we'll sign right here, sign it electronically. And as a matter of fact, we listed that house on Tuesday, and it has been active, very active. And I think we'll have it under contract before the end of this week. But that's what we do. We try to eliminate people's headaches. So what is my niche? I jokingly say my niche is selling hard houses, because anybody can sell the brand new construction. I mean, that's easy, and obviously we sell those too. But the houses that we sell, they need some love. They need a little bit of help. Our clients generally need more help in that process than what some others might. So, and it's fun. I mean, is it a lot of work? Yeah, it is, but it is definitely rewarding at the end of the day to help somebody through that process.
Yeah, I'm sure you really enjoy, based on getting to know you, enjoy seeing the progress. It go from what it was to where it's at now and what it's going to be. That's got to be kind of like an artist. You've got a picture of what it's going to look like, but actually seeing it become that, got to be rewarding.
It is. That is probably one of the more rewarding parts about this business. It's interesting. We had coffee with our local property assessor, Marty Haynes, and I tried to get him to buy in to the fact that if he would reduce my property taxes, that I would increase
personally.
Yeah, that I would increase Hamilton County taxes bottom line by taking these houses that were, dilapidated and condemned, and we would fix them up. But I'm still working on it with that.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Well, so the future looks good for the market here. Looks good for Thomas DeMoss. I buy Chattanooga houses. Got any big plans that you want to put out? Any visions for the future?
Yeah, our goal for this year is to rehab. Well, we started out with 10. But we're looking to rehab 20 houses.
Wow.
It's a lofty goal, but we feel like it's attainable. Now, what do we need to do to meet those? Well, we need people who need to sell houses to contact us.
Got to have the merchandise first.
Absolutely. So I'll throw this out there. If you've got a house that you need to sell, call me and go to our website. It's ibuychattanoogahouses.com. If you've got a neighbor that's got the house that they've not mowed the grass in 10 years, and there's cars parked out there, for whatever reason, we see a lot of houses that are just sitting, and we don't obviously don't know everything behind there, but we can't be everywhere in Chattanooga. And if you see that house, give us a call. Fill out our information sheet on our website at I Buy Chattanooga Houses, and that what we're trying to do is renovate Chattanooga. And I think that adds value to everybody. We're just trying to make Chattanooga a better place to live and obviously to work and to play.
Yeah, I believe that too, Thomas. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but when you look at a neighborhood, some people think the nicest house makes the biggest impression, but I believe the worst house makes a bigger impression. If there's a bad, dilapidated house in your neighborhood, Thomas and his folks can help your property just by improving that. And not only that, getting good house.
Absolutely. I mean, just case in point, I'm looking at buying a house on a street that I've got a couple of rentals. And the only reason that I'm looking at buying it is because it looks terrible. The homeowner has fallen on some unfortunate events. And we met with them, and some people may say, well, are you taking advantage of those folks? And I would say, well, I don't think so, because after our conversation, I think that homeowner would tell you that we have provided them with some extreme relief to their situation. So yes, we're definitely looking at that, but it's going to be a good year. We're excited about a lot of things, and looking forward to sharing with you guys our progress. And we want you to be a part of our show. We want to once again our goal here is to educate, to inform you guys. We understand the appeal of real estate. We want to make it as real as possible. So that's what we strive to do. Once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. And you can contact me there anytime. If you need to sell a house for any reason, give me a call. We would be more than happy to have a conversation with you, educate you on your options, and help you determine what the best path for you is.
Yeah, well, Thomas, I want you to know from the station here, we're very glad to be associated with you. You add great value to our listeners. You're nice to be around. You are knowledgeable. I encourage buyers, sellers to contact Thomas right away. Procrastination is the biggest deterrent to success. So get on it. Your house could be listed. It could be sold. If you've got a house that you need to get rid of, Thomas can probably put cash in your hand soon.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, just what I encourage people to do is don't be nervous about having a conversation, because you hear the old thing where information is power. And I definitely agree with that. I mean, we're not here to push anything on anybody. We really strive to educate, to inform. And once again, our goal, at the end of the day, no matter how our relationship is initiated, we always want people to say, you know what? They treated us fairly. They were honest, and they respected me. And that's what we strive to do.
Let's give a big plug for your websites. I'm intrigued by your websites. I really enjoy seeing what you do on Facebook, but your website, tell us about your website.
Yep. So we've got our websites, ibuychattanoogahouses.com, where you can follow and learn more about us. You can follow us on our Facebook page at ibuychattanoogahouses.com. You can see all the updates to our rehab projects and just testimonials from folks that we've helped. But this is Thomas DeMoss with Reality Real Estate, and we will see you guys back next week. Have a great week.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for letting me be here.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
ibuychattanoogahouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast?